You want to trash talk the greatest shooter the league's ever seen? That's fine. You'll just end up like guys on this list. Stephen Curry should, on paper, have the respect of every player in the league. He's won 4 titles, a couple MVPs, broken every conceivable three-point record imaginable, but sometimes you need to experience firsthand to really get the grasp. That's exactly what happened with Kevin Porter Jr. in January 2022. Now, we'll cut Porter some slack. He's still a young player, but young players need to quickly learn the cardinal rule of playing against stars. Don't poke the bear. After being called for a ticky-tack foul, Porter channeled his anger towards Steph, who at that point was having a pretty pedestrian game. He stared Steph down, eyeballing the future Hall of Famer as he got into position. Trying to get into his head, he got up close and personal as Jordan Poole brought up the ball. The disrespect. Steph didn't react. That's not in his nature. What is in his nature is what happened next. He dropped 21 points in the fourth quarter, hitting 4 threes and shooting 70% from the field. The man could not miss. He dropped contested threes, pulled up from mid-range anywhere on the court. The Warriors ended up winning by 14. Porter was asked about the interaction with Steph in the postgame. He responded,
I asked him for some pointers,
When will these young kids learn? You don't mess with a chef. While it's always funny when lesser players try to be instigators, getting in the best players' heads, how does it work out when up-and-coming stars try their luck? Just ask Anthony Edwards. It didn't work out well for him either. In a lot of ways, Ant and Curry are a lot alike. Both players have a sense of humor, always looking like they're having the time of their lives on the court. Steph has pulled out a lot of opponents' hearts by doing his little dance routine after hitting contested threes. Ant proved he's got some moves as well. But there's a difference between a superstar in the making and a top 10 all-time player. And when you're the young guy, you've got to know your place. In November 2021, Ant's sophomore season and the year Steph would win his 4th title, Edwards learned the hard way. In the fourth quarter, with Edwards' Timberwolves down 13, the young phenom had dropped 6 threes on his way for 40 points, too shy of his personal best. During a play stoppage, Edwards was wiping down his sweat-laden face as he passed by Steph, and he had the brilliant idea to say, "Hey Steph, I might go for 50. Steph had a look that said, "Sure, that's fine," as he walked away without a word. For Edwards' part, he tried for 50, taking over the offense, playing really aggressively. But Curry would not relent. The Warriors held that 13-point lead until the buzzer sounded, with Edwards at 48 points, 2 away from his prediction. Edwards has a lot of gumption and is a dizzying offensive talent, but he'll soon learn that if you want to talk trash to the best, you better win. But players have made that mistake for a long time. Look back at another young athletic talent, Jaylen Brown. Now an All-NBA guy for the Celtics, his earliest lesson in trash-talking Steph came back in 2017 when he was still a rookie. This Celtics team had a lot of young talent, led by the undersized trash talker in his own right, Isaiah Thomas. They'd eventually make it as far as the Eastern Conference Finals. They proved their capability when they matched up against the Warriors in the regular season. The Warriors were coming off a 73-win season, the best ever, and just added a free agent by the name of Kevin Durant. Maybe you've heard of him. Near the end of the third quarter, the young Celtics had a narrow 72-71 lead against the mighty Dubs. With 4 seconds left, Curry pulled his usual wizardry, got Jaylen to jump on a good fake, and sank a long ball to put the Warriors up 2. Steph did his usual, celebrating and talking a little trash of his own. He looked over to the young Brown and did a talking signal with his hands, implying the kid had been talking a little too much trash. That's not the first time Brown's been called out for his trash talking. It seems like he tries his hardest to be a proper smack talker, but he doesn't seem good at it. On JJ Redick's podcast, the former Philly sharpshooter said that in a London game, Jaylen tried to engage him. He called him a bitch, according to JJ. All Redick had to say was, "No, I don't play like that." And Brown shut down immediately. Maybe, it seems, his rookie year run-in with Steph stifled his ability to properly trash talk. Now, let's not pretend Steph and his Warriors are blameless when it comes to this aspect of the game. All 3 of the Warriors' main stars for this dynasty have shown their willingness to talk a little smack when the time comes. Draymond Green, the team's resident enforcer and all-world defender, often blurs the line between competitiveness and dirty play. But at the very least, he's a skilled trash talker that would make Larry Bird proud. Maybe his funniest trash-talking moment came against the Pelicans a few months ago, in a game where he and Herb Jones had been getting feisty all game. After a few physical plays, he stood next to Jones, continuing to talk trash, when Jones calmly pointed to the bench. Draymond was so busy talking trash, he didn't realize Coach Kerr had subbed him out. Klay Thompson, a fairly docile player compared to Dre, is a little more subtle with his trash talk. When things were getting heated with the notable trash talker Dylan Brooks and his Grizzlies, Klay simply pointed to his hand, holding up 4 fingers, signaling the amount of rings he and his Warriors have won. But with these guys, you know they'll back it up. They've earned the right to talk a little smack. You know who hadn't earned that right? Matthew Dellavedova in the 2015 Finals. Now, way back then, Steph and the Warriors hadn't won anything. The media said they couldn't go all the way, and no team that relies that much on shooting could win it all. But what had 24-year-old Dellavedova done at that point? Matthew had Steph as a defensive assignment, which he'd done an admirable job of doing. He was physical, but more importantly, he was cocky the entire time. You can probably chalk this up to the media more than Delly, but they decided to label him the Curry Stopper, a play on the Kobe Stalker moniker that Rajah Bell, Ruben Patterson, and a few other guys had given themselves in the mid-2000s. Remind me, how'd it work out for those guys? Andrew Bogut, a former All-NBA center anchoring the Warriors' defense, said publicly that this was a good thing for his team. It angered Curry, something you don't want to do. In Game 5, the series tied 2-2. The Warriors held a narrow lead with 3 minutes left in the fourth. As usual, Delly was matched up with Steph. Steph decided to end the talk once and for all. He wanted to remind the league that no one could guard him. He shimmied left to right, taking Delly to the wing and hit a 3 in his face. The Cavs never came back, and Curry got his first ring. Now, we've talked about role players and young talents trying to get in Steph's head, but to be fair, no one should really attempt it. Take, for instance, Damian Lillard. Lillard's always been a pretty cordial player, and his method of trash talk was simply to publicly question whether Steph still had it. On New Year's Day 2021, Dame pointed to the injuries, his young teammates, and the difficulty in getting in good shots on a worse team. This was right after KD left for Brooklyn and Klay was hampered by injuries. Basically, he was saying that now Steph understands what Lillard's been dealing with most of his career. The lesson here? Maybe check your schedule before questioning a GOAT publicly. Lillard's Blazers played the Warriors 2 days later. Sometimes the highlights do the talking. 2 days after being questioned, Steph Curry dropped 62 points on the Blazers in a double-digit win. Those 62 points were Steph's career high in the midst of a season where he led the league with 32 points per game. So yeah, maybe he's still got it. The true test to Steph's trash talk repellent? Chris Paul. Paul is the ultimate trash talker. No one does it better in the league. The point god, third all-time in assists and steals, while not even appearing in the top 30 of turnovers, has always backed it up. They met in the 2014 playoffs, where CP did everything short of hitting him with a hammer to limit Steph en route to a round 1 victory. While playing for the Rockets in 2019, a team that had matched up against the Warriors twice in the conference finals in the Steph era, Chris Paul decided to get in his head. Steph asked his manager to book the arena early so he could get a few extra shots up. CP got wind of this and came an hour early just to mess with Steph's head. Steph asked if they could split the court to both get up shots. CP said no and kicked him off the court. Maybe a mind game, especially when he started the next half scoreless. But Steph got the last laugh, ending with 33 points in the second half and 16 in the final 5 minutes with Chris Paul guarding him. The Warriors won the series, thwarting yet another finals attempt for CP3. Kick me off the court again, he said as he walked off the court. Steph is a certified killer. There are at least a dozen more instances of Steph Curry proving to players why you don't talk smack to him. Which ones did we miss? Let us know in the comments. For more NBA content, check out The Wrong Opinion, Useless NBA, and Garbage Rankings wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for watching Hooper's Lane.